Anybody got a prescription, yeah, for this love pain? Anybody got a pill I could pop for this love pain? Anybody got a prayer I could say for this love pain, yeah? Ooh, I need it for this love pain. Anybody got a prescription?
Welcome to another weekend edition of All the Way Live with the Byrds. I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Byrd. And this lovely lady, this beautiful woman, looking good with your KC Chiefs hat and your red lipstick. She goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
Together we are the Byrds. And as always, we're so happy to be with you on this Friday evening where we are talking about one of our most favorite subjects in the whole widest world. That is marriage. And so we just want to share and talk and do anything that we can to try to help out our relationships. We are rocking our Kansas City Chiefs red since the NFL season just got started, just got underway. And our Kansas City Chiefs are 1-0. And just like our Chiefs are Super Bowl champions and they're off to a victorious start, we want you to have a Super Bowl championship marriage. And so we want you to get off to a good start by joining All the Way Live with the Byrds and getting in on what we're going to be talking about. So I welcome you, and now I need you to hear from a voice that sounds much more better, more attractive, more pleasant than mine.
Welcome to the show. Well, I just want to thank you guys for participating and tuning in each week. We are so blessed that your life is being blessed, that you keep on tuning in. So once again, you already know the routine. Push that button, share, and tell other marriages about what's taking place. Free marriage counseling happening for a whole 30, 40 minutes. So
20,
let them
30.
know. Let them know.
I'm looking at her computer, and man, I actually have light on me. I look better today. All right. Last week I looked like I was somewhere off in a distant land where they couldn't see me. So, man, it looks good. And you look real good.
Thanks, man.
Well, today we are going to talk about an article that I read from the Gottman Institute, and it's an article talking about feelings versus judgments. Feelings versus judgments. And so I'll read a little bit of this, but we want to talk about this and discuss this. And so just so you can get an idea and understanding where we're going, this is dealing with contempt. Okay. And contempt is something that you do not want in your marriage.
You don't?
That's something that you absolutely do not. It's one in your marriage, and it's a tricky thing. So the article says it's a tricky thing. It's destructive to the love in a relationship, and yet it can be insidious. Often subtle forms of contempt feel perfectly justified. So there's times where contempt is in operation in how we may talk to our spouse, but we feel justified for it. And if you feel justified by what you're saying and how you're saying it, then you would never even know that it's coming from a place of contempt. And you would never be able to do anything about it because you feel justified in doing it. So you would want to know, what is it that I could be doing and saying in a way, and how could I be saying and doing things in a way that it's coming off as contempt and I not know it. That's the reason why you need to pay attention to the show today, and that's the reason why you need to share. So, you might say, you might think that the justification comes from the fact that you may feel like you're standing up for yourself. You think you're standing up for yourself. Or I'm just telling you, like, you ever heard anybody say that?
I'm keeping it real. That's the one they really use.
Say what? I'm keeping it real. Oh my goodness! If I had a $5 bill for every time somebody said I'm just keeping it real, like that's a license for you to be able to say anything you want to, just because you feel like you're keeping it real, you're telling the truth. And listen, truth can be damaging in a relationship if it's without love.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's more than one way to tell the truth. So, so I'm just keeping it real. And so I'm just telling the truth. Well, guess what? I can tell the truth with honey on my tongue.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I can tell the truth with pepper and hot sauce on my tongue. which one's going to be received the best?
Honey.
The honey. I know she's sitting over saying, well, you should try using the honey on your tongue a little more often. But what you may not realize is that you're standing up for yourself. And here's the point. Here's one of the points today. If you're saying, I just should keep it real, I just standing up for myself. They need to know. And so I just think I need to tell them. Well, one of the problems is that when you're keeping it real with your spouse, when you just got to tell your spouse like it is, when you just got to stand up for yourself towards your spouse, now the person you're standing up against is the person that you should be working together to establish a relationship of unity, of love, of compassion, of tenderness, of things like that. But now you're getting at your spouse. I don't want to be getting at you.
You sure?
You see this?
No.
I don't want to be shaking my head and making. I don't want to be getting at you and think about it. But there are times when you feel like you do want to get at them because you're not liking what they're doing. You're not liking what they're saying. You're not liking how they're treating you. Maybe they're disappointing you. Maybe whatever the case may be, they're pushing your button. And so you feel justified and have you ever, not even thinking it, you're not saying, I know this is right, I'm going to do this. You're not like that. But have you ever, got at somebody or got at me, and at the time when you were doing it, you felt like you were doing the right thing?
I mean, I know I have, but I believe everybody in the world have. I 100% know.
Have y'all? I know everybody in the world is watching. So have y'all? Nah. Okay,
Yeah.
Everybody in the world say, yes, I have too.
Yes. And so at that moment, you're not thinking about it's a marriage relationship in that way. You're thinking about, I feel like they're coming for me, or I feel like they're hurting me, or I feel like they're saying something I don't like, or something I don't agree with. And so human nature, not God's nature, but human nature stands up to protect themselves. And there is a difference. We got human nature and God's nature. God nature would try to understand, ask questions to try to keep the peace. Human nature comes for you. And that's what brings division and divide.
Woo! That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so while contempt may seem like an expression of genuine feeling, that's just how I felt at the time. Or, that's just how I feel right now. It's actually an expression of negative judgment. Okay? And so what the article was talking about was that we need to try to express ourselves with feelings and longings that can unite us with our spouse versus things that judge and divide. And so, if one of the ones a lot of spouses may have issues with is when they're driving someplace together. You don't say things like, why don't you drive more like I do, or man, you drive like you're trying to win the Indy 500, or what? You don't say something like that. A better way to share that would be something like, it scares me when you drive really fast like that, or when you're in and out of lanes, or you're not using your blinkers or something like that. Or I'm scared when we're on these dark roads, or I get a little fearful when it's raining and things like that. That has the opportunity to actually appeal to your spouse's caring side towards you, the empathy that you're feeling towards you, versus the other side really hits at the fact of you trying to tell me what to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And it's like, what is that thing that makes that person feel like they're being told what to do? Why can't it just be they know their spouse and their spouse know them and know that they're not being told what to do, but that's how they express themselves?
And see, that gets into now, to me, I think that gets into you having to assume that they're reading your mind and they have to know you in every situation or whatever, when they may know you, but at the time, wouldn't it be easier to just express you? You know you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
I know me, so it would be better for me to express my real true feeling in a compassionate way to my spouse than to say something that jabs at my spouse, the things like, why are you talking to me like that? How are you trying, what I'm saying? It'd be, you said, okay. That's
so
me.
basically, see, the lovebirds disagree as well as you guys. So what I am saying is, what is that thing inside of a person if something is happening, it's dark or whatever? Because I agree with the other part that he's saying that we should learn how to use words.
It's the same thing.
Words. But what I am saying is, what is the thing that makes a person say or feel that they feel like somebody's trying to tell them what to do? That's the root I'm talking about. I'm not talking about we need to not say things that is more appealing and more things where you're expressing your feelings.
And maybe that's not a good example I gave. I'm not sure. I'm just saying something that's said in a harsh way. That was the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make was not I feel like I'm being controlled.
Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is saying something with pepper, with hot sauce on your tongue,
honey.
Versus saying something with honey. To me, it's saying it's coming off with honey when you're saying, you know what, I get a little fearful around water, so don't play with me like that. Playing, like you're gonna toss me in the water or something like that. That I'm not real comfortable with swimming and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Don't throw me in the water.
Quick, why would you do that? You already know. Why would you?
Swim.
You know what I'm saying? And so.
Because if you throw me in the water, you already know it's cruel.
Right.
But we ain't talking about that. You already know that's coming from a cruel place.
I'm not going to even
play with you around water. Okay. But yeah, so the point that he's making is we need to learn how to talk to each other. And we need to learn how to think before we speak. And sometimes out of our fear, we react. And it's from a place of fear when, most of the time the conversations haven't been had.
And it's also from a place of contempt. Okay, so for example, here's another one. Okay, let's say me and you went to a party, a gathering. Not a party like a club, but a gathering. Over a home of someone that I knew. I play golf with these people, or I have business interests, work interests with these people. You don't know them. You don't know their wives. You haven't met them yet. So this is your first time coming around. So we come to the gathering, and maybe it's a game on, it's a Chiefs game on, and so we're here together, whatever. And we get here, and I first walk in. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I meet a couple people. This is my wife, blah blah. And within 5 minutes of me being there, I'm off talking to the men that I know really well about the game, and I'm into the game or whatever, and you left over here with people you don't know anybody, and maybe you're not a social butterfly, and so now when we leave, you could say, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but that woman, she could say, I would never leave you like that. In a place where you don't know nobody. You just abandoned me. You just abandoned me. You just left me by myself. I didn't know nobody there or whatever. And you over there gallivanting, having yourself a good time with your homeboy, talking about go Chiefs, go Patlin home. We Super Bowl champions.
Okay, get back to the message.
Okay, I'm sorry. That sounded real, didn't it? This has never happened with us, so I just made that up. But that's you see what I'm saying? Or on the way home, you could have said, babe, I really felt embarrassed. I felt like, emotionally naked over there. I didn't know anybody. I'm not good at going up to people and really talking to people I don't know. You knew all these people, so you were comfortable with them, and I didn't really know anybody. You just left, I felt like, you just abandoned him. You abandoned me.
Do people really talk like that?
That's the problem. They don't.
I know.
Yeah. Good. Did you hear what she said? She said, do people really talk like that? No, they don't.
Like in what life, what world?
That's why we do a marriage show. Because people don't really talk like this. That's so good. If people really talk like this, we wouldn't have to do a marriage show.
What is the show? The one that we used to like, Miss the Cleavers.
Leave it to Beaver?
Leave it to Beaver, whatever. She never said a mean thing. And when she was being contentious,
listen,
it still was nice.
She's the role model to wives.
She was like, honey, you're not eating that.
Her hair was never out of place. She always wore a dress. Come on. She wasn't even real. She wasn't even real. But but you asked a great question. That's do people really talk like that? And I think the more we can, and listen, none of us are perfect. None of us are always on point like that. But the more that we can learn to talk like that versus when we get in the car and be like, I ain't coming to no more of these things with you. That's all you do. All you do is get me there, you introduce me, and then you run off with your buddies. And
it should be like some kind of thing that we use from now on is when that is taking place, you say, is that human nature? Or is that God nature? And it will make you think about your behavior, because human nature is, your flesh is always coming to protect itself, always wanting to be right, always trying to convince someone else that they're right. And God's nature looks at the big picture to try to bring peace in the situation and make sure both parties are feeling love at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll give you one more example, then I'm going to go into a way that this subtle contempt happens that I know I've experienced, that this was something that I used to do that I didn't even realize it, and it was causing a problem, a big problem in our marriage many years ago. And so, but before we get into that, I know y'all waiting to hear that. Oh man, Dr. J about to just spill the beans on himself on what he did. Yes, I am. I'm going to spill the beans on the way I used to, the things I used to say. And so, but before that, here's another example. If something's going on and you don't like the way your spouse is doing something or saying something, whatever, is different than you, whatever it is, and you say something like, you got a problem. You need help. That's not coming from a good place. That's not a good nature.
Yeah, people say that a lot.
They do. The way and what you need to, you need to say something more like the way you're reacting is really, I don't know, you would say unexpected for me. Or can you tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking and what's going on so I can get a little more understanding about what's going on? Because when the way the human nature is, it's like, you tripping. Yeah, there's something wrong with you. You need help. You got screws up. Listen, you feel justified in saying that because of how you feel at the moment, but that's judgment coming from contempt. And listen, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. But like what you say, people say that.
Yeah, people do they really talk like that? Yeah,
people really talk like that. I see people in there and like, I've said that a lot, or I say, oh yeah, my spouse says that to me. It happens, but it's not coming from a good
I guess
place.
The question to ask yourself after this show is, why do I feel like I always have to protect myself? And who are you protecting yourself from? That's a question to think about. Because if you think about some of the things that you do, because most of the time people are just living and they're never thinking about their actions and the reason that they do what they do. And if you never think about, why do I do that? Why do I respond like that? Why did it make me so mad? Because you are convinced the other person made you feel all those feelings. And I am here to tell you that they did not. So you have to go inside and say, why do I get so angry? Why do I have to defend myself? Why do I feel all of these emotions? And then start there. Because if you never ever look within, then you're never going to get to a root of any problem. Because you're going to always think it's someone else. And if it's someone else, then you have no reason to change. And so you got to think about those things and be able to get some answers.
Absolutely. I agree. And so as I go into, one of the ways I express contempt and didn't even realize it, I think there's generally two major personalities if you're on the strong side of your personality. Two major personalities in expressing contempt to your spouse in your relationship. You're either one that expresses it in a volatile way, meaning you get loud or you get boisterous with words, you get pointed and choppy, cutting with words. So that may be you, and you may express contempt like that, and it's easy to see that. Everybody sees the loudness, the voice, it's easy to see that. The other way that contempt can be expressed, everybody don't see it. And that's called taking the higher moral ground. Things like, I would never do something like that. Or God would, that's just not a godly thing to do. I just choose to be godly. I don't choose. And by calling yourself taking the higher moral ground when it relates to your spouse, in conversation with your spouse, what you're actually also saying is that if I'm taking the godly route, you're ungodly. If I'm taking the higher moral ground, you're being immoral at this point. I would never do that. How in the world could you do that? So one might not come off loud and boisterous and volatile. The other one may come off, as like I said, taking the harm. I would never do that. I'll pray about that. I won't do that. And I can't believe you just spout off at the mouth. You just, what I'm saying? That's still coming from a place of contempt. And you feel justified in doing it. You're not trying to be, it's not trying to be contempt, but you're trying at that point, particularly, you're trying to say anything to get them to stop doing that. That's basically what we're trying to do, whether you're doing it the loud, boisterous way or you're taking the higher, more ground. You're trying to do anything you can to stop your spouse from doing what they're doing or saying what they're saying to you. And listen, when it's coming from a place of contempt, it's not good, because now you're going at the spouse. The only way to reach a spouse in a way when they're doing something or saying something that you don't like is from a place of love. It's from a place of understanding. It's from a place of compassion. It's from a place of telling them, being vulnerable enough to tell them how what you're doing makes me feel. That's the key.
When did you reach a place where you realized that was contempt?
When we went to...
I don't know. I know. I'm just trying to get go more into the conversation, but... Yeah, yes.
So I did... let me take that back. I realized that it was contempt when I read this article just now. I mean, when I just read this article. I didn't know it was contempt. Now, another question is, when did I know that it bothered you and it made you feel like I was saying I'm more godly than you and things like that, was when, we were at a place years ago in our marriage where we was like, you know what, we're not thinking about divorce, there's nothing like that or whatever, but, we need to have some conversations. Actually, it's actually when you went to a place where that scared me. That's where it happened. You went to a place that scared me, and so just like we tell anybody else to do, we did the same thing. We went to Jimmy Evans' Marriage Today and to the Marriage Today family and say, hey, we're marriage counselors. We're always helping people. We're always pouring out people, whatever, but. We done got to a place that's not good, And so as we began to spend time, 2 days down there spending time with them, and they began to talk that was one of the things that was revealed to me, was that when I say things like that, it's being interpreted by my wife that I'm saying you're less godly than me. And of course I know way better than that now, because I understand personalities. Yeah, I understand wiring. I understand the disc assessment, things like that. And so, knowing that, I know that, hey, we're only going to act to mostly how we're wired to act. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And so, just growing and learning, I know different now. But that doesn't change the fact that at that time I didn't know. And listen, I was by no means. Let me take it back. I was not trying to put. Yes, I probably was and didn't even realize it. Yeah. You know what I was going to say? I was going to say, I wasn't trying to say that you're not as godly as me or what. But guess what? You know what? When I felt like you were saying things and doing things that I don't think you should be saying to me, and it may have been out of frustration. Maybe you're frustrated with me or something, whatever the case may be. But whatever caused you to say or respond in a way that you did to me, when I say that, I wouldn't do something like that. I couldn't do that to God. I was really trying to let you know that you ain't being godly. And I wasn't thinking about it, but it was automatically, it was happening. I was really trying to let you know that, listen, if you was godly, you wouldn't be doing like that. If you was godly, you wouldn't be talking to me like that. If you was godly, you wouldn't be acting like that.
And I would say to you,
I was being real.
Yeah, that's what's up. And so your listeners, you forgiven.
I've said I'm sorry before, but just in talking about it again,
you're like, wow. God just allows you, when you really want to be different and you want to be the best version of yourself, it's like constantly revealing, things, and wow, was it really like that? And wow, was I really doing that on purpose? And things like that. And it's like, that makes that even more ungodly, when you think about it. And it's like, listeners out there, we really got to get this thing under the blood. We really got to get this thing right, because if not, when we say things, I'm not purposely trying to hurt you. Yeah, you were. You know, you were. And so
you felt like they were
purposely trying to hurt you. And that's what hurt do. It hurts back.
I judge you're trying to hurt me, and then I gotta find a way to hurt you that seems justified for who I am.
And both of it's ungodly.
And both of it's ungodly.
Yeah.
And man, what I really feel bad about is that here I am trying to be the head of my household and lead a family, lead my wife, lead my family, lead my wife in the things of God. And I'm at that time, I'm not even wise enough to even understand the whole personality of people. And I had been through psychology classes and things like that, but I'm not even wise enough to understand personality enough that I'm being hurt. I'm being hurt by a negative judgment based upon a personality that you had nothing to do with how you received it. Your personality that you have, that you're basically most of your personality is directly derived by the home you were given to when you were born.
The parents, your
trauma, whatever you went through,
whatever.
The history, whatever you went and how you ended up perceiving that has generally wired you for the way you are, whether you're a D, a I, S, a C, whatever type of personality you have, that has wired you. And so why would I, as a leader, as a husband, as the protector, as the provider, as the priest of my home, why would I try to belittle the godliness in you when I'm dealing with something that I'm trying to help restore, something that was put into you or broken in you when you were a child? I should never stick a pin in any area of your brokenness. Yeah, I should only be trying to heal. I would only trying to restore you. You should feel so safe.
Redeem.
I should be trying to redeem you. And so again, I'm sorry. And men, women, whichever one, because there are sometimes men are like this personality and men are like whichever side of the coin you're on. Listen, you need to apologize for whichever side you're on, and you need to get to understand your spouse, the way they're wired, understand that, man, we can't have contempt for one another. We can't try.
That's the part that becomes ungodly. You know, the person is living for God or whatever, and we're not saying all people do. But when we go to that place, it's really a dark place. You know, it's really a place of pain. It's really a place that make you come out and be used by the enemy.
It is.
And cause more brokenness and more pain to the person that we're supposed to help heal. You know, so we have to think about those things. This show is a little different.
Yeah, we're going to end the show before I start crying.
I can feel it over here.
I said, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm like feeling like we need to stop.
Somebody hit the theme music. Somebody hit the theme music. Please. There it is. Wow, this has been another weekend edition of All the Way Live with the Lovebird. Listen, I'm sure we don't have to tell nobody to share this because everybody's going to share this. Oh my God, Pastor Jay was getting all marshmallowy on the show. Again, I'm one half of your dynamic duo. I go by Dr. James Byrd. This lovely, beautiful, specially talented, wonderful, compassionate, lovely wife of mine. She goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are
the Lovebirds.
And we'll see you next Friday night.
Anybody got a prescription, yeah, for this love pain? Anybody got a pill like a pop for this love pain? Anybody got a prayer like a session for this love pain, yeah? Ooh, I need it for this love pain. Anybody got a prescription?